Good morning from the office. I'm your host, BKP. Good Wednesday morning. BKP here. Anything goes. North Georgia's only live online morning show. We have a big lineup today and a lot of things we need to go over. So first, let us tell you how you can reach our show. That is 706-889-9700. You can text the show anytime you want. And that's also our 24-hour news hotline right there, 706-889-9700. Chief at FetcherNews.com, at FetcherNews, at FYNTV. Follow us on Twitter and on YouTube. Interesting to say. Subscribe to our channel, Fetcher News FYNTV YouTube, and anytime we're doing a live broadcast, you will get a notification that we are streaming live. So we have a long list of things going on. First, let me just say our guest this morning at 8:30 will be Margaret Williamson. Margaret is a candidate, a Republican candidate for Georgia State House 7th District. She will actually be here in the studio. She's local. And as we tell you, every day we're bringing you more and more candidate interviews and information. So Margaret will be with us at 8:30 this morning to tell you, the voters, why she is running for this office. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, he will not be in studio. David Schaefer, Lieutenant Governor David Schaefer, will be on the air with us tomorrow, Republican candidate running for lieutenant governor. Let me correct that. David Schaefer will be with us tomorrow. Now, David Schaefer has the endorsements of Ted Cruz. Also, he has the endorsement of Newt Gingrich. Some pretty big endorsements. There's two of them there. There's one that says, I can't see across the room, but that one says, I don't know, either Ted Cruz. And what is the second one? The second one, David Schaefer endorsement, big endorsement there. I think I have another one there, and that is Newt Gingrich endorsed David Schaefer. So he'll be on the show, Republican candidate, tomorrow morning at 8:30. Again, Margaret will be with us at 8:30 this morning in studio. Now, a couple things before we get started. I want to talk about Amazon and the put the Amazon pick up there. Bezos and Amazon, and what is really going on with the post office / Amazon and the Trump war on Twitter, as it's being called. Why is the left running to defend this billionaire and Amazon? Why? I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain why the left. I'm tired of it. Yes, I kindly left this story alone for a couple days, have other things going on, so we're going to talk about that. The other thing we're going to talk about is the tariff wars with China, okay? We're going to talk about that, okay? Are the swamp rats running? Are they running? We're going to talk about sending the military to the southern border. All of those things we're going to discuss today on the show in depth, okay, today. And we will not be inhaling condoms on our show. Okay, we will not be doing that. That is not a joke. I know you have looked around the internet and noticed what's going on. The same kids that traded in Tide Pod Lunchables are now inhaling condoms or whatever. I don't know, but we won't be doing that. We're going to get into some very serious information. Amazon, and why the left is protecting and running to help corporate welfare at this time when we thought they were against that. Also, we're going to talk about China. Remember currency manipulators? We're going to talk about China. President Trump's promises. Are you ready can you handle the pain that may go with some of the campaign promises? And he's commander-in-chief. He has sworn to defend us, right, from all threats, foreign and domestic. So he does have the right, commander-in-chief, to send the military to the southern border. We'll talk about that. But before we get into anything else today, okay, and our first guest at 8:30, I want to ask you a question. And my question is, what if you knew it was your last night? What if tonight was your last night?
Say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
I am not fearing any man. Do you think Martin Luther King, interesting enough, today marks 50 years. 50 years since the assassination, and that is the I've Been to the Mountaintop speech that was given on April 3rd. I am not fearing any man this morning when I bring you information. Now, let me say this. I wonder, I've always questioned if he knew, okay, that was his last night. If he knew that was his last, I've always listened to that speech. We may not get to the promised land together. So folks, let me just say this before we get too far. Freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to protest, okay? That applies to us, all right? We are not going to allow dogs, water hoses, internet censorship. We are not going to allow these people to shut us down, shut our voice down, expose CNN, expose MSNBC, expose the left. We are not going to be shut down. We're not going to. We're not going to allow anything to turn us around, because no matter how much this upsets some people, the inspiration that I've been to the mountaintop, okay, we know that we're right there on this swamp. We all know that, okay? I may not get there with you, all right? But we must get there. We must not stop. And we must not fear anyone today from allowing us to bring our message to you. So that's 50 years ago today. Now, before my guest gets in here, I want to do this first, okay? Let's go to Amazon. And let's talk about Amazon first, all right? And let's say this, and I don't know if anybody else has been doing this story in this way. I have no idea. I've not been keeping up. But why is this a fight? Is this a fight for your mailbox? Is this an opportunity to privatize the U.S. Postal Service, not subsidize? Now, the left is going out there and they are fact-checking Donald Trump. The left is going out there and saying it's because Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post and they have not been very nice to Donald Trump. The left is going out there and saying these are all false. Amazon's not taking advantage of the postal system. That Amazon is paying bulk rate just like everybody else, that any other corporation can get a bulk rate. All right? But this is, strangely enough, I'm going to give you something. The Amazon, tagging Amazon to the failing Postal Service is almost like tagging Delta to the NRA jet fuel tax exemption. And let me explain that very quickly, all right? You've got to get the maximum exposure for something, and you're not going to do it with the smallest company. So if Trump was to come out, all right, they continue saying this is a war, but if Trump was to come out today and pick one of the smallest companies that ship through the U.S. Postal Service that you subsidize and say they have a bulk rate pricing, and the U.S. Postal Service is losing money, it may not get quite the attention that it's getting. Much like Delta, it wasn't a tax exemption for Delta, it was a tax exemption for jet fuel statewide that Delta was the biggest recipient of. But let's go back to Amazon. Amazon has the biggest, they have taken the most advantage of you and I in the U.S. Postal Service. So one, I want to stay clear, is this an opportunity? Is this about your post box? Why does Amazon, ask the questions, why does Amazon not just say, fly in and say, forget the U.S. Postal Service, all right? Forget the U.S. Postal Service. I want to make a deal with FedEx. I want to make a deal with UPS, all right? Why not? See, I know people that carry subcontract for the Postal Service that get paid extra during holiday seasons to deliver on Saturday and Sunday for Amazon. And you know it too. This is the truth. Shepard Smith comes on at 3 o'clock and does a whole line of where Donald Trump is lying about Amazon. Not true, Shep. The whole left, why are they behind this corporate welfare? Because it's simple. You have a union that protects the employees of the U.S. postal system, and these civil, non-civil, civil servants, because we've never known, are they private? Are they the U.S. Postal Service? Or are they like the Federal Reserve that they're independent but have to follow federal guidelines? What is it? But they can't be privatized. And the last protection of hope for the U.S. Postal Service is what? Your mailbox. Because FedEx can't put a letter in your mailbox. You see, UPS cannot put a letter in your mailbox. Can't do it. Amazon knows that they can go anywhere and push the U.S. Postal Service to do anything. Now, FedEx will tell you they'll go anywhere, and this is not a negative FedEx story. UPS will tell you they'll go anywhere. But if you have a post box, rural delivery, there's your little post truck, U.S. Post Office truck on Sundays. You see, Amazon knows they can push. They have the power to push the U.S. Postal Service to deliver Saturdays and Sundays. They know they have the power to push the U.S. Postal Service to get in a canoe, and that's not a joke, and row across the river because somebody up there has Amazon Prime and free delivery and ordered a little widget that they're trying to make something to watch an exotic bird. That's not a joke. Amazon knows that. That's why this argument is not with FedEx. That's why this argument is not with UPS. They know that. They buy less than cost. They sell less than cost. They ship less than cost. They make billions of dollars. Interesting enough, this is the dream that Michael Moore waits for. This is the kind of things that Michael Moore has made documentaries about. Look at the attacks on Walmart. Look at the attacks from the left because Walmart's not unionized. Look at the attacks on the left because Walmart is actually a recipient of corporate welfare every day. Look at the attacks on the left because Walmart doesn't pay $15 an hour. It's interesting how Amazon escapes those attacks from the left. Now, American taxpayers, see, here's the interesting thing, all right? Keep that up there right there, okay? This article came out March 27th, 2015, okay? Not 18, 15, all right? And President of the United States is Barack Hussein Obama. The United States Postal Service's financial troubles have been well publicized in the recent years. The worst of it came in 2012 when the United States Postal Service lost a whopping $15.9 billion, followed by a $4.8 billion and $5.3 billion in 2013 and 2014, respectively. Post office officials have often attributed the losses to the decline in demand for first-class mail in favor of more efficient modes of communication. Congressional mandates that the United States Postal Service do things like deliver mail on Saturdays and to unprofitable parts of the country. They deliver Saturday and Sunday. Amazon pushes them to the most unprofitable places in the country. You stop and think where you might live today and you can get your Amazon Prime tomorrow. Where? By a U.S. postal truck. Okay? Two, keep in mind, two unprofitable parts of the country. In fact, Amazon knows this. In fact, the United States Postal Service claims that if it weren't for such requirements, it would more than less break even. Okay? The Postal Service knows. The government requires them. This is a swamp of all swamps to go everywhere to get your mail to you. But as Robert Shapiro, former Treasury Undersecretary and Chairman of the Economic Consultants, points out in a new analysis, American taxpayers subsidize the United States Postal Service at a rate that surpasses the cost associated with any congressional mandate. He estimates that all told, the subsidies and legal monopolies that Congress bestows upon the United States Post Office is worth $18 billion annually. This includes laws that bar any other shipping service from delivering mail and packages directly to residential and business mailboxes. Shapiro estimates that gives the post office a $14 billion annual boost, more than 3 times what the Postal Regulatory Commission estimated it to be. Shapiro argues that the analysts don't take into account the productivity gains that the post office would be forced to make if it really had to compete for mailbox delivery. Tax breaks. The United States Post Office is exempt from state and local property and real estate taxes, along with burdens like tolls, vehicle registration, and parking tickets. These exemptions save the United States Post Office $2.18 billion per year. All these are costs to you. Private companies have to pay for their property, have to pay property taxes, have to pay different kind of taxes. They're exempt, but the fight for your mailbox, laws that bar other shipping services. So the swamp is running like crazy because they are afraid that this exposure may cause the American people to say once and for all, why do we subsidize? Why do we give all of these breaks to the United States Postal Service? Stop and think tomorrow what you may not receive if a U.S. mail truck does not arrive at your house. Nothing, folks. It will get there. It will get there. Amazon has taken advantage of the fact of you, the American people, long enough in the federal subsidies that are given to them because they know, and the post office knows, they have to go anywhere there's a post box, anywhere there's an address, and they have to do it regardless of how much money they lose, and Amazon could care less, and they are making billions of dollars. Then there are the states and the areas of the country where Amazon... Now, here's what's going to happen, okay? You're going to hear, let me refute one more thing that you will hear is as far as this Amazon situation, all right? You will hear it's not true that Amazon does not pay sales taxes. You will hear that, okay? You will hear that internet sales, Amazon has gotten out of paying sales taxes. Folks, there's a lot of states recently that have put state sales tax on internet sales. Here's what you're going to hear that's not true. You're going to hear this is all set up so President Trump can protect his commercial real estate friends. All the brick and mortar stores that went out of business and commercial real estate sitting all over the United States empty, and Trump is trying to protect his brick and mortar real estate friends. That's not true, okay? Are there several businesses where brick and mortar stores are a thing of the past? Absolutely. Was it inevitable it was going to happen? Absolutely. But when you hear the president say that they don't pay sales taxes, it's only recently. So if you have time, do a research on how many states in the last 3 years have implemented sales tax on internet sales. Watch and see. It's only been in the last 2 or 3 years. But 10 years ago, when Amazon was taking off, and Barack Obama and the left were helping with the corporate welfare of the United States Post Office, Amazon was enjoying you buying from them, okay, and not paying sales tax. So many small businesses are gone today because they did not pay sales tax, and the brick and mortar stores, the mom and pops that sold the fishing rod did pay sales tax. They're gone today. So don't believe Shepard Smith at 3 o'clock. In fact, I don't even know who the hell's home at 3 o'clock to watch Shepard Smith. If you're home at 3 to watch Shepard Smith, you need to get a job. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But anyhow, don't believe Shepard Smith at 3 o'clock. Don't believe MSNBC. Don't believe ABC. They're all a part of the deep state swamp, okay? Ask yourself this question. When it comes to Amazon, why is the left running to defend the richest man in the world? This man on the screen, Bezos, who has taken advantage of you, the American people. I think depending on the stock market, they flip and flop on who's the richest in the world? Bill Gates or this guy here? Always ask yourself one question that keeps something very clear. Do you believe in a deep state? I do. Period. Okay? So if you do, because 7 out of 10 Americans polled once deep state was explained to them, said yes, they believe in somewhat of a deep state. 2, if you believe in a deep state, ask yourself always the one question. Why is the left running to the defense of the richest man in the world when the President of the United States comes out and says, you, the taxpayer, if you drove somewhere this morning and you're working in a dental office and you have to get home in time to get your kids to soccer, if you drove somewhere and you're working in an insurance agency, if you drove somewhere and you're working on a delivery truck, you should ask simple questions. Why is somebody spending more time in the media trying to protect this man and Amazon? And I'll tell you why, because the President of the United States is telling you the truth. And the American people are subsidizing the postal system at a rate of billions of dollars, which is your money, Mr. Truck Driver, Mrs. Truck Driver. This is your money, Mrs. Dental Hygienist, Mr. Dental Hygienist. This is your money that they're supplementing on a daily basis. The president is telling you the truth. There's something bad wrong. Why the left has come out at such a defense when this is what Michael Moore documentaries are made of. It's 8:26. I got to take a break. Tariffs, the stock market. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry. Don't get all worked up about stock market futures. Don't worry. Because we're going to talk about tariffs. We're going to talk about tariffs later in the show. Also, period. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about tariffs. And by the way, we're going to go further into who let the Dems out. You know that we had fun, who let the dogs out? Who let the Dems out? Because let me tell you something, you better pay attention. There is a Democrat on the ballot for almost every seat in the United States, whether it's judge, whether it's district representatives in your state, state senator, House of Representatives. In my time of reporting on politics, I've never seen so many Democrats on the ballot. And I mean right here in Georgia. A Democrat was elected in a conservative district in Wisconsin to an opening judge seat last night. Who let the Dems out? We're going to talk about that. Also, so many different. You have a new tax bill in Georgia. A lot of states are readjusting their tax system and the tax bills because of the federal tax changes, okay? And there's a lot of confusion. A lot of you out there are wondering, is this exempt? Is that exempt? What happens now? What do they mean by doubling the tax credit? So at 9 o'clock, my guest will be Beth Bennett, and we're going to talk tax tips with Beth Bennett, and she's going to try to help guide us through a couple of those things at 9:10. And also, I got a lot. Folks, Oklahoma and Kentucky, all right? They're out there, the media in Oklahoma, trying to find people to identify as Republicans that are teachers, okay? And I've told you, do not fall for the teacher union textbook, higher pay, better money for classrooms to decorate the classrooms. Don't fall for those lines, all right? The states are having no choice to readjust pensions. The states are having no choice because there's gaps. There's billions of dollars in Georgia. No matter where you're at, there's gaps in these pensions. And that's the next big explosion in this country. To pay or not to pay? That is the question, because we're getting ready to have $1 trillion plus explosion in this country of unfunded public worker teacher pensions across the nation. Lord, we got a lot to get into. But right after this, my guest, 7th Georgia House seat, 7th District candidate, Republican candidate, Margaret Williamson, right after the break. Take us to break, Amanda.
Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
It's just this simple. Nobody beats Days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay less at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save up to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Crew Cab. It doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats Days on price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: LJ, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP, and I'm joined now with Margaret Williamson is with us. She is a candidate, Republican candidate for Georgia House Seat District 7. Margaret, how are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you, Brian?
Can I call you Margaret?
Of course. That's what you've been calling me all these years.
That's what I was going to say. It might be hard. To Margaret, you are running for Georgia House seat. Let's just start here, District 7.
Correct.
Why?
Why?
Well,
that's an interesting question, and it's been posed to me a number of times, and I've had a lot of time to reflect on it, but basically I feel that the 7th District has not been represented the way it should be. And so, I've been following legislation for quite a while, see the bills that are passed and the bills that aren't passed, have sat in on committee meetings and see how that all goes, and I've just become very frustrated and disturbed that the real needs of the district are not being met.
Okay, now let's go with the real needs of the district. One, let me just add, have you ever run for a public office before?
No, I haven't.
I just asked the question, and somebody will say, well, this is being redundant when I just asked you why you were running, but you've never run for public office before. So what are some of the things that just motivated you to say, I'm stepping out? I've read your letter. You tell voters your grandmother, 15, did I get that right?
Yep, 15.
15 grandchildren, retired. Okay,
yes.
So I read your letter. So what motivated you to get out? You've never run for office and say, I want to do this now, and it's important to do it now.
Well, as I said, I've been involved for quite a while. We founded the Tea Party here in Gilmer County a number of years ago, and so we've been tracking legislation and have had a real concern for not just my children and my grandchildren, but all the children and the working people in the district. Finally, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was when I hear that we have conservative representation. And to me, conservative means less government, less taxes, a free market economy, religious freedom. Those are not being represented in the Gold Dome by our representative. We can't get a RFRA bill. And that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back right there, because David Ralston is on record to saying to the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce that as long as he is Speaker of the House, there will never be a RFRA bill, a religious freedom bill.
And why do you think that? Why do you think he would tell the Chamber of Commerce that? And why do you think the House is not come through with a religious because of him directly? Because you bring up him, he is the current representative of the 7th District and also the House of Representatives Speaker. So, what makes you think that cannot get passed?
Well, as I said, the Metro Chamber of Commerce, they are the ones that are contributed greatly to his campaign, and they do not want a RFRA bill.
What if? Let me ask you this. Let me go this direction, because there's kindly two things here. There is the Georgia Speaker of the House, and also there's the representative of the 7th District.
Correct.
Let's stay focused on the 7th District.
Okay.
Okay. What in the 7th District do you feel the citizens are not being represented in the 7th District? What is Gilmer, Fannin, and a portion of Dawson County missing today that you would like to represent that you don't feel they're getting the representation now?
Well, I would go back to the RFRA bill because there's about 80% of North Georgia has these conservative values that are being challenged by not having a RFRA bill. I have spoken to a number of people who are in certain businesses and they are concerned about their religious freedom. We've allowed the media to direct the narrative on all of that. But Brian, would you go to a Jewish butcher and have him prepare your ham for Easter Sunday celebration?
No.
So then, but what if you did? If you were really inclined to want to cause a problem, go to that Jewish butcher. And when he says, no, it's against my religious belief to touch pork, and then you go back and sue him because, he's not providing you with a ham on Easter Sunday?
Well, I understand, and I think most of the viewers will understand where you're going with that. But that is a single issue, and
yes, it is.
I don't mean to call it a single issue. So let me stay in the 7th District for a minute because we're going to stay focused on why you would like to represent the people of this district. There has been some laws passed that have great benefit in the state of Georgia to wineries.
Yes.
And wineries are exploding economically in the North Georgia area.
They are.
There has been some laws passed that benefit craft breweries.
Correct.
And craft small breweries are benefiting, and there's been an explosion in that business in North Georgia. There has been several things. For example, just this week, a couple years ago, and I know our students here in rural Georgia love to be where we can get dual enrollment.
Right.
And so there's several opportunities now. A couple years ago, 3 or 4 maybe, if that long, a campus for University of North Georgia, a satellite campus in Blue Ridge,
right,
now is going to have $5.5 million to build a brick and mortar standalone facility in Blue Ridge. So with some of those things, why do you feel the citizens should make a change with you?
Okay, you look at the population of Fannin County and Gilmer County, and the portion of Dawson County is really hard to figure out what that is. The boundaries are crazy to work with. But, you've got how many thousand people in Gilmer County? It's upward to probably 40,000 now, depending on where you look. And then Fannin County is just a little less than that, probably between, around 30,000. So how many of those people benefit from the craft beer, the wineries, the school? And I'm very happy that we have that because, our children were having to travel a greater distance to do that. So those are great things, and they do, help the economy. But what about other things that really need to be addressed? I mean, I'm going out there talking to people. There's a mental health issue in our district. Well, it's all over Georgia, but did you know that in Fannin County ranks number 2 in the state for opioid overdose and suicides? In the last 10 years, from the ages of 10 to 17, almost 40% of all those deaths have come from opioid overdose and suicide. 40%. We rank number 2 in the state. That it's about 38, 39%. The state average is only around 19%. We have a real crisis. When I talk to people in Fannin County, they talk about the fact that they cannot get the necessary help that they need for their children who are suffering from depression, whether it's from bullying, whatever the source. And they have no resources to actually have that disease dealt with. We have no long-term stays except for private ones. You go in, they put their child into an emergency room, and 3 days later they're out again with the same problem. So, you know, that is a real issue in North Georgia. We have a lot of retired teachers. I heard you talking earlier about the pension plans for teachers. The TRS, the Teachers Retirement System, is very much in jeopardy. And I don't even think that the actual teachers associations are even letting their retired people know about it. You know that the Georgia pension plan for teachers has a $2 billion unfunded liability. $1.1 billion of that is debt service because they have been borrowing to keep that afloat. Now, whether you agree or not with that fixed benefit program for teachers, that was a promise made by the state. Right now, they have about they are underwater $18 billion. Now, we have a saying in our family, and you probably do too, that never spend money in anticipation of projected income. So the state pension fund, or for the teachers, they were basing all of their spending on a 7.5% return on investment. That's unrealistic. That is totally unrealistic. So that's why they're $18 billion underwater. They have negative amortization for their fund. And so teachers are going to feel that at some time. And the $1.1 billion for debt service, accompanying that is $900 million in medical health insurance that they don't have the money to pay for. So I'm already hearing from teachers retired teachers, that their pension plan is not what they anticipated it to be, and now they're having to pay more for health care. And the counties are also having to contribute to that.
Well, I can understand that the teachers, and that's another subject in itself, the teachers are promised, and they've been promised by politicians for years on what their plan would be. And obviously now we're hitting a crossroad of saying, well, we don't know if we can keep our promise. And that's a national issue that we're taking on. But let me go back to that with the teachers. You know, about 60% of the population of both counties, Gilmer and Fannin, and the same in Dawson County, 60% are employed by somewhere in the school system. So this affects, yes, I'm talking about retired, but current teachers. And, a lot of times, students coming out of college anticipating a career as an educator, they look at the salary that they get as a teacher versus what they possibly could get in the in the private sector. And the fixed benefit plan was a great attraction to them. And now that's not even going to be offered. It's probably going to go to a 401k, which is like what everybody else has. But how is that going to affect hiring teachers? Well, I want to go back to something that you said, because I do know that the opiate crisis is a national crisis, and in North Georgia, we're particularly hard hit in North Georgia, and I can understand that. Rural America, very hard hit, and I understand the statistics and aware of what you brought up in Fannin County, along with Gilmer and portions of Dawson. But the opiate crisis, what could you do? And I know the president just signed a budget, and the state has, in this year's budget, made some changes to or increased funding for treatment. What could you do as the representative on some of these particular subjects that you've brought up this morning? what's not being done, what could you do?
Well, back in 2008, George Bush signed into law a bill that was actually pretty much a bipartisan. Ironically, though, the sponsors of that bill, gosh, I've already forgotten who, but they were Democrats. But George Bush, this is a time when the Democrats controlled the House and the Senate, but George Bush was president. But he signed that into law, and what it is supposed to do is force insurance companies to have parity between what they provide in funding for surgical and medical needs and mental health. Unfortunately, that bill didn't have a lot of teeth to enforce it. So Obama, we know how we feel about Obamacare, but they did add on to that. They increased it, but still, no teeth. So Georgia, I would work with others to offer a bill, to sponsor a bill that would actually ensure that the health insurance companies meet what's required in that bill, that federal bill. We could enact a bill that would mirror that in the state, and they would have to provide for mental health care. We have a lot of hospitals that have closed. Why not some, I hate to use the word institution because we automatically think of Milledgeville or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, But I mean, smaller hospitals, now unfortunately our hospital is closed, but smaller hospitals that would be easier to monitor and have them for long-term stay, just like the private ones, where you could actually help these kids, not just kids. I mean, there are adults too that have issues. Depression is very predominant in seniors, retired people. So it could meet a need on a local basis, not having to drive down to Atlanta and pay a lot of money in these private places. So that's one thing. I think that would be a very good way to address some of the needs. But there's proposals to have teachers be trained so that they can recognize mental illness. Parents have a good job of doing that. They can tell when their child is depressed and when their child, if they have the education, be aware. I mean, we went through that whole drug awareness program. So that would be one thing that I would think about doing. But there are a lot of associations in the state of Georgia that have been working together with the criminal system, the criminal justice, children that are teenagers being arrested for drug and alcohol problems, and finding out too that they have some kind of a mental disorder. And we shouldn't be ashamed to say that. You don't mind saying that my child has diabetes or my child has a different problem. Why not be transparent about mental illness as well?
Well, Margaret, you know me well enough that I don't believe in going around certain subjects. I believe in being direct on it, and I think you know that as well as I know you and how direct you can be.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not identifying you, but
Yes, that's okay.
Let's just go straight to it, okay? David Ralston is the current representative of the 7th District, but also is the Speaker of the House of the state of Georgia. Not only if you would be elected, then there's so many districts out there that may want the speakership in their district. Why should this district, just tell us exactly, why should this district vote for you to be their representative, knowing that you wouldn't go to Atlanta and be Speaker of the House, and why would they lose that
edge?
Whatever you want to call that, okay? Why would they? Tell us that.
Okay, you talked about this, trying to remember what exactly, it was the Council on Rural Development. The Rural Georgia Study Committee. Now,
yes, Rural Georgia Study Committee.
Okay,
yes.
We're kind of like led to believe that we're rural Georgia. The majority of Georgia is rural. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You've got Metro Atlanta and the counties around there, but you've got a lot of needs in South Georgia, a lot of needs up in North Georgia. So the council that was formed by the Speaker basically, I know he says that they had a meeting in Georgia, or in LJ. Were you invited?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. But basically, that council that met down in Milledgeville was lawyers, lobbyists, and legislators. I don't know what input they had from the regular folk, we the people. But the things that came out of that, you mentioned the North Georgia campus, the North Georgia College campus, and $5.5 million. That's only to construct. And I'm glad, I'm happy to see that. That's only to construct that building. And I don't know, $5.5 million doesn't go a long way these days in construction. Building costs are up 20% in North Georgia over the past 10 years. So, but Fannin will have to buy the property, correct?
Correct.
And then they're going to have to provide all of the materials, the desks, computers, all of those things. That's going to end up costing the county more than they may be anticipating spending. So how involved was Fannin County in all of that? Just asking. I'm not sure. Do you know that?
No, I don't. I do. Okay. I do know the $5.5 million is for construction, but the property and the logistics leading up to construction, the campus, the college is responsible for that.
Okay, so you have this new campus and it's wonderful. We have a wonderful technical school up there, but in the past 10 years, tuition to colleges has risen 75%. Tuition to technical schools has gone up 100%. Even with Hope Scholarship, kids are coming out of there with debt, $20,000 to $40,000 from loans for education. There's less funding now to the university system than there was before. Where's all that money going? That's one question I would really ask. If Georgia has a $26 billion budget this year, that's not even including federal money, but over half of that goes to education. 13 billion plus goes to education. And yet, you talk to teachers about what they're getting. I mean, I'm with the Optimist Club. Every September or August before school starts, we have the Stuff the Bus program so that we can give to the teachers paper towels, hand sanitizers, notebooks, all those things that children need. And why are we having to do that for the teachers? I'm happy to do it. I participated in it every year. But why isn't the school providing those things? They're necessities. Where's the money going for education? We rank number 34. Now that may have come up a bit, but 34 in the nation for our output. And it's not because the teachers aren't good teachers. We have great teachers here. My daughter Mary Melissa
yes.
is head of the science department here and the biology teacher, honors biology. So, now she will say they don't want for anything as far as being able to order for the classroom supplies, but not the paper towels and all that. The needs are not being funded. Here in Gilmer County, now you know that we have a $4.4 million debt that we have to pay every year on those revenue bonds that came out of that building authority. We will be paying $4.4 million until 2032. And at that time, we will then own the courthouse, the fire stations, the library. Right now, that's held by the building authority, which has changed. Again, going back to that anticipated revenue, they expected that they were going to have all these sales tax money coming in. And when it didn't happen, after the what do they call it in Atlanta, the Great Recession, we didn't have that money. And so now we have $4.4 million of debt every year that we have to pay. We could have had, we could have built a stadium, we could have had a performing arts center, we could even have an aquatic center, which would benefit everybody in the county, seniors, swimming, an indoor track, a lot of things that could have been done with that $4.4 million. Now, why do we have that debt? Where'd that come from?
I understand the building authority. I understand how it was created, but what say you?
Well, David Ralston, before he was Speaker, had a bill passed in the House that created the building authority. $4.4 million we will be paying every year until 2032.
But, is that not, and let me see how to frame this, is that not like one of the jobs of a representative? Is there not in other districts all across the state every year, if you look at legislation and it gets a little boring, there's water authorities, building authorities, and representatives are asked by their local commission base or whoever the authority to take that and get it done for them. Is that not just a formality? And I'm not making light of it because, in the interest of transparency, I live in the county. In the interest of transparency, I live in the district, and I'm a voter in the district where you're running. So that being said, I have studied the building authority, and I think you know that, and I know the debt we're discussing. So I don't want to act like the viewers out there, I don't know what you're talking about. But saying that, is that not if a county came to you or Fannin came to you and said, hey, we want to create a water authority, which we already know we have them, but I'm going to use a hypothetical. So if hypothetically Representative Margaret Williamson of the 7th District and a city in your district, a commission in your district says, we want to create this authority, that authority, or so on, what say you? What would you do as far as, because you brought that up, so what would you do as far as testing to see if it met what you would take to Atlanta and represent?
Well, it's like anything. You have to, I think you have to include your citizens in that process. Okay, this was pretty much, most people are unaware that the building authority even exists. And I understand this is a common practice, but unlimited authority was given to 3 individuals. And the courthouse, they had already voted, the people in the district had already voted that they did not want to take on the debt of a new courthouse. So this was a workaround, in my opinion.
Creating the authority, you say, allowed them to borrow the money without the voters' input.
Yes, and
they. I'm not answering the question for you, but is that correct?
Yes, and so when you have this happen, and voters have already voted. It wasn't that they didn't want a courthouse. I mean, it was a tragedy when Mr. Queen fell down those stairways. That was terrible. But could there have been done repairs for at least until they had money to pay for a courthouse? Did it have to be a Taj Mahal? Oh, it's not. It's really a very nice courthouse. But look in the neighboring counties that have had new courthouses. They have not got the debt that we have.
Well, we're going to have you. We're going to have you back multiple times before the election, and we also, anytime Mr. Ralston would like to come in, so we're going to have you back. We do have a hard 9 o'clock break. I don't know exactly where we're at, but I want to ask you this question, and I ask all candidates this because they will talk about why they are running, but I ask a little different. Why should the other person not have the job? And before you answer that, when a candidate, and this is for everybody out there, when you go and qualify, you've decided the other person shouldn't have the job. So that is actually a valid question I think I asked. So why do you think Mr. Ralston should not have the job?
He has not been transparent with the voters in the 7th District. what I would do differently during session, now I know he's a busy man because he's speaker, but I would be here every Saturday morning during session. I would alternate between the different counties. I would be there to answer questions, to let them know what legislation is in the process of being voted on, where it is in the committees, whether it's subcommittee, committeeing, whatever it's in. And I would listen to their feedback, and I would tell them pretty much how I would vote on this particular bill, and I would give them the reason why, and I would tell them how it would benefit them, or I won't vote for it because I feel that it's going to be, it would be detrimental to have that for this area. I would be representing them, the people in the district, and not the Chamber of Commerce in Metro Atlanta. And that's basically the way I see it, and it's the way a lot of people see it. They do not feel that they have the representation. They don't trust. That, that's nationwide too, the trust part. But my cell phone would be available to all people, just not to a few. They would be able to call me. I would answer it. I will send an email out every week with what is happening in the state, and not just during session, but for the whole year, because there's always things going on that legislators are involved in. And I would let the people know, and I'd want their feedback. How do you feel about this? The local hospital issue, and I talked to you about that a couple of months ago, where it's like we've been given a gift that we have this micro hospital, but in reality, we have lost our hospital. That certificate of need is still live, but the chances of us having a hospital here, a real hospital, it's way far in the distance. And we had private money that wanted to acquire that certificate of need and build a hospital here, and we're denied that process.
Well, denied the process. What's wrong with what? And I want to stay focused on the citizens of the 7th. What's wrong with the medical facility that the citizens of Gilmer County that predominantly use it, it's in Gilmer County down here, and North Georgia Medical Facility, the hospital, did close.
Right.
What's wrong with the current healthcare system and facility that's in place in Gilmer County today? Was there not kindly a trade up on services?
It depends on who you talk to. What we basically have is an emergency room. You can call it anything you want. You can call it a micro hospital. It is an emergency room. And the only purpose of that facility is to stabilize and move the patient on as needed or send them home. Okay? Fannin County, their people that need services go to the Fannin County Hospital, but the whole part of southern Fannin County would have been able to use our facility as well, so it affects them. The new facility would have been on 515. It would not be in the city here. So you think about, okay, you and I, it would be very easy for us to go to Piedmont Mountainside. Piedmont Mountainside's already having problems with overcrowding. They're talking about building or adding on. So then they take you to Piedmont downtown, completely bypassing Northside Hospital in Canton. Now, if you want to go to Canton, you can, but you're going to pay for that ambulance ride. If you go to Piedmont, you don't. So you and I would have the ability to go down there and stay with our family member. A lot of the people in Gilmer County and Fannin County don't have that luxury. They cannot take time to drive into the city. A lot of them don't even venture into the big city. So those people are being left behind. Donald Trump calls them the forgotten man. That's what we have, the forgotten man, woman, child.
Well, I tell you what, let's do this. We'll have you back again. You're local here in the area, so you're able to come in the studio. We'll have you back again. We've got maybe 6-7 weeks, and then early voting starts the end of this month, April
30th.
April 30th, and then May 22nd is primary. So we got several more weeks, and we can have you in and continue on these issues. I want to close with asking you: Do you feel that losing the the district losing the speaker would hurt economically in this area if, and I don't want to say just, that's not even a good word, but if they just had a representative, what's the upside of that versus losing the speaker? Would it hurt economically, or would you feel that people would be better represented if they just had a representative?
Well, that's obviously what I feel.
Okay.
Just the better representation, the transparency in knowing what's going on. The economy, look, we have a great county, the district. We have natural resources here that attract people. We need better jobs, better paying jobs to boost our own standard of living and encourage people to come. We need better businesses coming in that pay more money. All of those things we need to work on, but you have to be here and you have to talk to the people. You have to know what they need. Poverty level is still, we are at our counties, both Fannin and Gilmer, and part of Dawson, we have a really high poverty rate. But, okay, I know that you're on a hard break.
No,
But, we need to address that. And we need, and other things about the high-speed internet. Different bills, too, that have been passed. Can I mention one of them?
Go ahead.
Okay. One of the bills that was just currently passed, Rusty Palm, he's the mayor of Sandy Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy Springs made a decision for their city that any construction over 3 stories had to be done using concrete and steel, over 3 stories. That was in their building code. And the purpose of that was, a lot of it was about insurance, having insurance on these buildings, fire, tornadoes, all of that. So that was a conclusion that they came to on their studies. A bill was passed from the House, sponsored in the House and passed, that supersedes the authority of the building code in the city of Sandy Springs. Not just Sandy Springs, that is a particular one, anywhere in the state of Georgia. Anywhere. So we could, in our counties, Fannin, Gilmer, we could establish a building code and then the state come in and tell us, no, you can't do it that way, no matter what your reasons were. Now, why would they do that?
I don't know. I could continue because I do. No, I enjoy discussing politics, legislation. I don't know what's wrong with me, but and political races. But I figure you probably have a close that you wanted to a statement maybe or something you wanted to close with, and if you did and do, now is the time. So.
Okay. Well, you can visit my Facebook page, and it's Williamson for Georgia State House, District 7. I do have a website as well, and that is votewilliamson2018.com. And I try to keep the Facebook current, posting legislation, things that I'm concerned about. My phone number, 706-273-9163. Call me if you have any questions. And I ask for your vote on, May 22nd is primary day. Primaries are very important. I would ask you to get out and vote, exercise that privilege that you have, and vote Margaret Williamson for Georgia State House, District 7.
Thank you, Margaret. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, are you having a lot of questions concerning tax confusion, state tax changes, federal tax changes? We have somebody we're going to talk to about that as soon as we return. Take us to break, Amanda.
Before
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's T-E-A-S. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
It's just this simple. Nobody beats Days on price. If it's a Chevy, you'll pay less at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now save $4,000 off a new 2018 Chevy Malibu, or save up to $10,000 off a new 2018 Silverado Crew Cab. It doesn't matter which Chevy you choose. Nobody beats Days on price. $10,000 off Silverados and $4,000 off Malibus at Days Chevy in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey, and we're back, and it's time for Tax Tips with Beth Bennett from H&R Block. And before we get started, folks, it is getting that time, crunch time. Taxes have to be done April, but there's also a lot of confusion out there. The state, you watch the media and the news, and the state says they've changed taxes and they've cut this, it changed that and gave a deduction here. The federal government says we've done this, that, and the other thing, and some of us are so confused, and that's why we call you Beth.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Well, I will tell you, I don't want to say last year was not the year or the year before last, but if you ever needed a professional preparer, it's now.
It is now. The tax law changes actually don't take place until next year, but this is the year to plan for those changes, because what you're doing right now impacts next year's tax return, and we don't want to miss anything or leave something unchanged to have a negative impact on your tax return. Whether that means you get a smaller refund or owe more, either way, that's bad. And a lot of people make plans for their refunds, right? You know, they're planning to pay off a loan that they borrowed back in the fall that they could pay off with their refund, or take their vacation, and then all of a sudden you get $1,000 less. That's huge to those people. Versus, you know, me, I just keep owing more every year.
Well, you may want that boat or that camper, right. But what we're saying here this morning is that every year you should prepare for your taxes, but this year is crucial. It's very, I don't like to use the word critical, just throwing it out there, but it's very important financially to you that you get information for preparing next year. The way you prepare this year can be very big for what comes out next year.
Absolutely.
And that's where you need the advice of, hey, you're taking this deduction now. Well, next year, what you'll need to do is X. Am I correct?
Correct, right. That's one of the biggest things I've been, and I feel like I've been pushing it this year is so many people do their own returns. And that's okay, right? Lots of people do that. But this year, there are so many changes coming for next year that's going to impact you, and it just depends on your situation. You know, we could look very similar on the top, but then when you dig into it, all those tax law changes could impact us both very differently. And so, you know, one of the things, having a professional, and here's a lot of the comments that we hear about when we do a return that we haven't ever done. Somebody else has been doing it, they've been doing it themselves, they've been doing it online, or their aunt's been doing it at the kitchen table. Wow, you did that so fast. And that puts a lot of people off. Like, I paid that much for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but what a lot of people don't understand is all of my tax professionals spend 50, 60 hours a year in doing continuing education in tax law and tax theory. So they know what those forms are, what those numbers are, can I use them, where to use them, right? So they're not digging around. If you're doing that return yourself online, you're digging through papers over and over because you don't know what that form is. What is a 1098-T? What is a 1098? A 1099-R. People don't know. A gentleman come in the office and say, I just have one W-2. My return's very simple. Well, what's 1099 retirement? That's a huge difference in a tax return. A lot more things go into that. So it's not based on do you have one piece of paper. There's tons of questions that our professionals ask you that dig deeper into your financial life to help you on your tax return. And so it does cost you more. I won't argue with that. We do charge more than what you'd pay to do it yourself online. But that's kind of the same as one of the analogies one of my preparers uses. I can make a tuna fish sandwich at home for $1 and instead of paying $6 at a restaurant, right? It's the same thing. It's the difference in the service that you get. So that's one of the big things. And our preparers are helping you prepare for next year. We're going over, like I said in our shows before, we got that new great tool that shows you how next year's tax laws will impact you if nothing changes. If everything stays the same, this will be the difference in your return next year. And that's great. And they go over that. And then they advise them on, okay, here's where you're going to be. You might lose $300 in your refund. What do you want to do with that? We help you plan on your W-4 to make sure you're having enough withholding. If you take money out of a 401k or going to buy a house or got a kid going to school, we help you plan for all those things so that you don't have a shock next year on your tax return.
You know I have ADD, so I can't get past the tuna fish sandwich. You did that on purpose. You know me well enough.
It's not even close to
right.
lunchtime.
I mean, okay.
Well, you
so
get up early.
Wait a minute. Though, let me say this because I think we want to do anything we can to help Beth and H&R Block. Want to do anything they can. Their tax preparers to help take some of the confusion out of preparing your taxes, because what you hear, and this is big. This is big with the new federal tax laws and state. You hear credit, a tax credit, doubling a tax credit, this child tax credit. We hear so much of that it gets confusing. So it's important if they're in there and they say, well, I thought they doubled the tax credit. It's important that you know, hey, how old are your children? Because this one's coming off next year, and that will reflect X. I mean, those are the kind of things that really need cleared up, that they need to come in and sit down with your preparers.
Absolutely. The difference in your withholding. So, yes, they lowered the tax brackets that you're going to pay taxes on when you get to the tax return last year, but they're also withholding less in your paycheck. That may not be a wash for you. So you got it. There's just tons of little things in there that could really impact your tax return. So just got to be extra careful.
I want to also bring out obviously we're talking about individual tax returns and preparing them before April 17th.
April 17th is the deadline this year.
But I want to also bring up, you do small business taxes, corporate taxes. You do all the taxes, regardless of what your need is. And that if this year the small business plans to invest, open another store, put more employees on, you will be able to work with them on, hey, that amount of investment could show up here, or you could use it this way and that way. So I mean, just saying that, but those are other things
Absolutely.
that need to be discussed.
Absolutely, we can help any tax. There's not a tax return we can't do. I mean, we are tax professionals. That's all that we do. Our main focus is tax returns, so we can do any of them. We do lots of small businesses, corporations, partnerships, sole proprietors. So we take care of those, and we help those people plan as well. As you're making a decision about to buy a piece of equipment, how's that going to impact me? What should I do with it? How should I do that? Should I lease it? Should I buy it? There's lots of different things.
Give me at least two of the biggest, or the number one, two of the largest misunderstandings, confusion, or that people bring to you when they're preparing their taxes. What are a couple of the biggies out there that are misunderstood? And
gosh, there's a huge list.
That's why I knew that. So
a big one that's always a huge shocker is when people take money out of their 401k. If you take money out of your 401k, your financial institution will just automatically take 10%, but that just covers your penalty. Now you got X number. Just say you took out $20,000. Okay? And you only had 10% taken out. You're under 55.5, so you pay that 10% penalty, plus whatever your federal and state tax is. And remember, if you just added $20,000 to your income, it probably bumped you up a tax bracket. So a lot of people are super shocked. I have taxes withheld, but just to cover that penalty, so it was a very small piece. So if you take money out of your 401k, usually you pay at least 40% of that back in taxes.
So you're paying the penalty
plus.
And if you're under what age?
55.5.
If you're under 55.5, then it's income, because it was.
It's still income over 55.5. Just the penalty goes away.
The penalty goes away. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. But you're taking out income.
It might be 59.5. I don't do them. The girls do those. I have people. But yes.
Okay, we don't discuss age on this show. We do put some ages out there of things, but the full discussion we don't have.
Okay.
What are some of the things that we need to let people know this morning that you want to share with people with this deadline coming on April 17th before we close?
I just want to reiterate that you can still itemize this year. That did not go away. It's not going away next year. It might not benefit you as well, but it's still something to keep up with. Bring it in, have it on this year's tax return. You can still take your mortgage interest, your PMI, that came back on in February. That originally this year, that was one that had went away, one of the extenders that went away, but then they brought it back.
That's the mortgage insurance?
That's the mortgage insurance. That's huge. People pay a lot of money to that. So that's a big deal on the tax return. Don't forget your child care, education credits. Those are huge. You can get up to $2,500 education credit. That's one of my friends, I've been doing the return for years, and his wife said, did she do it wrong? We've never got that much before. But he started going to school this year. He's doing online college to be an engineer. And she's like, it must be wrong. We can't get that much. But they got a new credit this year, $2,500. So that's huge. Doesn't pay for all of your school, but it's another, helps out a little bit. The Savers Credit, always want to push the Savers Credit this time of the year because that's double dipping the IRS. And anytime you can give it back to the IRS, go ahead, because you can get up to, I believe it's 10% of your income back on your Savers Credit. And if you put it in a traditional IRA, that reduces your taxable income. So 2 tax credits on the same money. That's really a good deal. Really, really a good deal. You can still put money in there up until April 17th. That goes on this year's tax return. It'll go for 2017's return if you open a traditional IRA today or by April 17th and put it in there. That can still go on this year's tax returns. That's huge. Again, you're double dipping the IRS, and who doesn't want to do that?
Okay, now where do they find you? I mean, this is great information. Now they have to be able to get in touch with you, find you, know your hours, everything. So that's on you. Where are you at?
All right. So
where are you at, Beth?
Right here, Fetch News. So we have 3 locations here in Ellijay. We've got one at Highlands Crossing, at Craig Street, and on River Street in downtown. We are open every day, Sunday through Saturday. Our hours don't meet your needs, just give us a call. We'll be glad to accommodate. Come and see us. Remember, April 17th is the deadline. You got to file. Even if you file an extension, you can do an extension, but prefer you not. Remember, that means just an extension to file your return, but you're still supposed to pay what you think you will owe in taxes. So you could still be penalized if you don't pay and you have a large balance due.
Filing and paying your anticipated tax is two different things.
Correct.
Correct.
You're supposed to pay your taxes as you earn your money.
Right. And what is, how did they get in touch with you? What's your phone number?
706-635-5563 or 706-635-5538 or 706-636-1099.
Just checking you. That's pretty good. I'm your host, BKP, and this has been Tax Tips with Beth Bennett from H&R Block. And also April 17th, don't forget, big day there. You have to have your taxes done. And they will accommodate you. They have office hours, but if you call and say, hey, I can't make it, they're doing everything they can to accommodate you and make appointments to get your taxes done. There's a lot of questions out there. This is the place to go to get answers on all of those new tax things in the tax reform from state to national. I'm your host, BKP, and we'll be back right after these messages.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hey, and we're back, folks. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Now, tomorrow morning, let me just say this. Tomorrow morning, we will have David Schaefer will be our guest. David Schaefer is running for lieutenant governor here in Georgia. He's running for lieutenant governor. He will be our guest. He's been endorsed by Newt Gingrich. He's been endorsed by Ted Cruz. We're going to find out tomorrow what those endorsements mean. I'm trying to look at some. All right, now tariffs, China. Now, I asked a question this morning. I want to know something. Are the American people ready? Okay. Are you ready to... Now, Trump is keeping campaign promises. And, you know, through the campaign, and one of the enunciations that people love is when Trump said China, okay? So you listen during the campaign at Trump say China. You listen to the campaign about protecting our southern border and stopping the flow of illegals coming across there. You listened in the campaign of him saying that we did not get anything out of the Middle East. We could have at least took the oil. We should have taken the oil. And I much agree with that. We left the blood of our children on the sand over there. We have spent $7 trillion. You listen to that on the campaign. He is saying, hey, if Syria, obviously the public sector does not know how to negotiate, and there's no need. You just go to state capitals. You just go under the dome there in Washington, D.C. You just pass things to fund the next level, totally unaware of where the money comes from. Now, they'll say, yes, I am a good steward of the taxpayers' money, and yes, I am aware of where the money comes from. No, they don't, okay? That's how they continue to fix, as they call it, repair, move forward, create, all the above, is just pass some legislation that continues to take your money. So they don't understand negotiation. None whatsoever. Trump did not seem to look like he was going to endorse NATO. Revenues to NATO have gone through the roof from other countries paying their share. Trump is discussing moving out of Syria. Hey, we spent $7 trillion. We haven't gotten any oil. We have decimated ISIS. The news will not report that we've decimated ISIS, and we're going to move out. But Saudi Arabia does not want us to move out. They don't want us to leave the region. There's people that don't want us to leave. Trump says, hey, you got to pay. Where do we send our invoice? Right? You want us to stay? Can't be on the backs of the American people. So he is not giving, watch the liberal media, he is not giving a date, a line in the sand like Obama did that created ISIS, folks. He is giving a line in the sand that is saying, you want us to stay, here's what it costs, here's our bill. We're not going to subject the American. See, Obama did not leave ISIS to stop spending trillions of dollars. I mean, leave and pull out of Iraq and Afghanistan to stop, to save trillions of dollars. He didn't do that. Watch what happens here, okay? So ISIS is decimated. He wants to pull out of Syria. People don't want him to pull out of Syria. So he's, hey, here's what it's costing. So there is another campaign promise, okay? Tariffs on China. Let's just go here. Now, Real Clear Politics, this is what they don't want to talk about. All right? Real Clear Politics. All right? 7 years ago, this article is from February 4th, 2015 by Scott Paul. They won't discuss this. 7 years ago, a rising political star and U.S. Senator from Illinois. I wonder who that is. 7 years ago, a rising political star and U.S. Senator from Illinois wrote the following to Bush administration Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson. The subject was currency manipulation. Barack Obama wrote, currency manipulation. Your department's refusal to take action raised serious questions about the administration's commitment to protect the interests of the American businesses and American workers. Wait a minute. Obama wrote that to George Bush. Now, this article is from 2015. Refusing to acknowledge this problem, the senator continued, will not make it go away. The administration's refusal to take strong action against China's currency manipulation will also make it difficult to obtain congressional approvals for renewed trade promotion authority as well as additional trade agreements. But the eager as Senator Obama was to do something about, this clear form of trade cheating, interesting, President Obama has been, done nothing, basically. Even mustering up a simple acknowledgement of the problem has proven difficult for his administration. Barack Obama is now halfway through the back nine of his second term presidency. During the past 6 years, he has had plenty of chances to correct the problem of international currency manipulation, but he's done a complete inadequate job. China's yen stands at the same level against the dollar as it did back in 2012. Remember, this is 2015. That's not progress. The U.S. trade deficit with China has reached an all-time high under this administration. Obama, not Trump. Japan's yen has plunged by more than 50% against the dollar over the past 3 years, and the American exports to Japan have declined along with it. This data means one thing: we've lost a lot of job opportunities in the United States because the administration is not willing to take measures to stop currency manipulation. Now the administration wants congressional support for Trade Promotion Authority, TPA, and Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP trade agreement. So you would think if there was ever a time the administration would get serious about currency, this would be it. Wrong. Okay? The list goes on and on. Currency manipulation. Senator Obama called it out. Senator Obama said that the Bush refusing to acknowledge the problem, the department refuses to take action, raises serious questions about the administration's commitment. Now, I ask you, are you prepared? Okay? Are you prepared for the pain that may be incurred for President Trump to clean up another deep state disaster? Here's what President Trump tweeted out. We are not in a trade war with China. We're not in a trade war with China. That war was lost many years ago by the foolish, incompetent people who represented the U.S. Barack Obama, as a senator, acknowledged this problem, acknowledged how deep the trade deficit was getting, acknowledged the currency manipulations. The Bush administration did nothing. The Obama administration did nothing. They have done nothing for years. All right? Now, this is a deep state problem, and that's why the left media is going crazy, and that's why the stock market is tanking, okay? Quit listening to Soybean in Iowa. Period. I don't know you in Iowa. And I don't know the soybean farmers, but I'll extend a heartfelt "we love you" in Georgia. I'll extend, we'll do anything we can to help you out. In fact, order me some soybeans now. I'll eat them for lunch. But the reality is, folks, that the media, they went nuts over Sinclair Media, but the media has a narrative the deep state is pushing to make you think that President of the United States is trying to do something to China that is going to destroy our country. And this is the tweet. "We are not in a trade war with China." This is from President Donald J. Trump. "That war was lost many years ago by the foolish or incompetent people who represented the U.S. Now we have a trade deficit of $5 billion a year with intellectual property theft of another $300 billion. We cannot let this continue." Now, people keep hearing intellectual property theft, okay? China continues to buy into American companies, to get in, to root in, and steal the intellectual property of that company. They do not want to own the companies. They do not want to be a part of the companies, okay? But they continue to buy into American corporations over and over to get deep enough in to where they can root in, steal the intellectual property, and send it back to China to another company. It's every day the theft continues. We cannot let this continue. Now, the New York Times, all right, the New York Times has put out an article about this, but down the China fires back, announcing tariffs on planes, cars, and soybean. Planes, cars, and soybean. I'm interested. It was just 3 weeks ago on the steel where the EU was going to go after bourbon, what else? Levi's and something else, okay? But there's a place where you could go, and it's billing code 3290-F8. Really boring. And this is from the Office of the United States Trade Representative, okay? This is the document that they're talking about. And you can go all the way down through here and see what determination on acts, policies, practices under investigation. China, number 3. This is your federal government's release on this. They will not tell you this. China directs and unfairly facilitates the synthetic... Back up. China directs and unfairly facilitates the systematic investment in and acquisition of U.S. companies and assets by China companies to obtain cutting-edge technologies and intellectual properties and generate the transfer of technology to Chinese companies. I just told you that. And it's right here. I mean, this is a very long document. This is the Office of the United States Trade Representative. It's a docket number here, everything. You can see everything on here. The proposed determination of appropriate action upon determining that these acts, policies, and practices are under investigation or actionable, section so-and-so provides that the trade representative shall take all appropriate and feasible action authorized under section so-and-so, subject to specific direction, if any, of the president regarding such action and all other appropriate, feasible action within the power of the president, and the presidency may direct the trade representative to take under section so-and-so to obtain the element of the act, policy, so on and so forth. Did you understand it? You'll have to read the whole thing. It's right there. It's in black and white, folks. Are you prepared? Are you ready to go through what the President of the United States has to do in a campaign promise he made to you to correct this trade imbalance and bring NAFTA, these trade deals, and this imbalance back to us, the American people, where we need to take control of our destiny. A borderless country is no country at all. Understand? No country at all. A borderless country is no country at all. The President of the United States plans to send the troops down to defend the southern border. We have a 4-minute video we want to play before we run out of time. I want you to hear straight from the President of the United States what his opinion is on Syria, and straight from the President of the United States, not Morning Joe or BKP or anybody, what he plans to do on the southern border. Amanda, do you have that video?
Questions. We're going to also have questions specifically for the Baltics. Steve? Reuters.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some of your military advisors are urging you to keep a contingent of U.S. troops in Syria to ensure the defeat of ISIS. What is your current thinking on this subject? Do you still want them out? And secondly, could you clarify what you meant about having the U.S. military guard the U.S. border along with Mexico? Thank you, sir.
Yeah. First of all, the border. The Mexican border is very unprotected by our laws. We have horrible, horrible and very unsafe laws in the United States, and we're going to be able to do something about that hopefully soon. Hopefully Congress will get their act together and get in and create some very powerful laws like Mexico has and like Canada has and like almost all countries have. We don't have laws. We have catch and release. You catch and then you immediately release, and people come back years later for a court case, except they virtually never come back. So we are preparing for the military to secure our border between Mexico and the United States. We have a meeting on it in a little while with General Mattis and everybody, and I think that it's something we have to do. Now, the caravan, which is over 1,000 people coming in from Honduras, thought they were going to just walk right through Mexico and right through the border. As you know, NAFTA is a phenomenal deal for Mexico. It's been a horrible deal for the United States. We're renegotiating it now. But it has been a horrible, horrible, embarrassing deal for the United States. This should have been terminated or renegotiated many years ago. Mexico, we have a trade deficit with Mexico of over $100 billion a year. And I told Mexico yesterday that because of the fact that their laws are so strong, they can do things about it that hard to believe the United States can't. I said, I hope you're going to tell that caravan not to get up to the border. And I think they're doing that because as of 12 minutes ago, it was all being broken up. We'll see what happens. But we have to have strong borders. We need the wall. We've started building the wall. As you know, we have $1.6 billion toward building the wall and fixing existing wall that's falling down or was never appropriate in the first place. And that's very important. As far as Syria is concerned, our primary mission in terms of that was getting rid of ISIS. We've almost completed that task, and we'll be making a decision very quickly in coordination with others in the area as to what we'll do. Saudi Arabia is very interested in our decision. And I said, well, you know, you want us to say maybe you're going to have to pay. But a lot of people, you know, we do a lot of things in this country. We do them for a lot of reasons. But it's very costly for our country, and it helps other countries a hell of a lot more than it helps us. So we're going to be making a decision. We've had a tremendous military success against ISIS, as you know. It's close to 100%, as I just said. And we'll be making a decision as to what we do in the very near future. We'll be consulting also with groups of our people and groups of our allies.
Okay? So you're inclined to pull the troops out?
Say it?
You're inclined to pull the troops out?
I want to get out. I want to bring our troops back home. I want to start rebuilding our nation. We will have, as of 3 months ago, $7 trillion in the Middle East over the last 17 years. We get nothing out of it, nothing. And as you remember, in civilian life, for years, I said, keep the oil. I was always saying, keep the oil. We didn't keep the oil. Who got the oil was ISIS got the oil, a lot of it. That's what funded their campaigns. They took a lot of the oil, and it was largely responsible for funding. We should have kept the oil then. We didn't keep the oil. So I want to get back. I want to rebuild our nation. Think of it, $7 trillion over a 17-year period. We have nothing except death and destruction. It's a horrible thing. So it's time. It's time. We were very successful against ISIS. We'll be successful against anybody militarily. But sometimes it's time to come back home. And we're thinking about that very seriously. Okay? Thank you.
Sometimes it's time to come back home, and we're thinking about that very seriously. They are scurrying over there now to figure out who wants to pony up what amount of money to keep us there, because it's not for free. Trillions of dollars wasted. The man keeps his campaign promises. Period. The southern border must be protected. The flow of people through the southern border, catch and release, needs to end. All right. Reason you have such a turnover in the White House, such a turnover of President Trump's in President Trump's administration, is it's very hard to find a group, even a small group, that will band together with you to go after the deep state and try to drain the swamp. That's hard to get a group that will help you do that. So Amazon and the Fed and the U.S. postal system, it's really about Amazon knows that they could push the post office to deliver Saturdays and Sundays. They know they could push the post office to get a canoe to go across the lake to send you their Amazon Prime free shipping. They know that the government subsidized the United States Postal Service, and free market companies will not take that on. They know they're getting less than cost delivery. Maybe it's time to let the free market deliver to your mailbox, and you won't be paying billions of dollars a year in subsidies to a failing company. Guess what? We don't get subsidies here. We either fail or make it. Sad to say, that's the only options we have in our business. But you continue to fund the U.S. Postal Service for a billionaire, the world's richest man. That's number one. China, the tariffs. Folks, don't be fooled. The deep state has been giving away your country and your intellectual property for years. There's been no rules whatsoever where the deep state's concerned, giving us away, everything we have away. He has to do what he has to do. I, for one, I'm sorry if you're being hurt in the stock market. I, for one, do not care what the stock market does today. I'm more interested in the President of the United States standing up for our intellectual property, protecting your businesses as Barack Obama wanted Bush to do. See, President Trump is only adhering to the letter that Barack Obama, then Senator Obama, sent George Bush. Hey, just change it to Donald Trump. He's doing something about it there. And last but not least, our southern border. If we don't have a border, folks, we're not a country. And Donald Trump is determined to maintain our sovereign country status by protecting our border. Yes, I know YouTube doesn't want to talk about, they don't want to talk about the motive. Okay, the New York Times, and I know it's 10 o'clock. Police identify woman who wounded 3 at YouTube and killed herself. Motive is unclear. No, we know the motive. We didn't get time to do that story today. We know the motive. The left can't tag an NRA whack job with this. They can't tag someone underage with this. They can't tag it in the narrative nowhere. So they want you to feel there was no motive and they can't figure it out. We know what the motive was. We'll go into it tomorrow. And no, we, myself or Amanda, did not inhale any condoms today. Correct, Amanda? I can't see you behind the screen, but you didn't do any of that, right?
I did not do that.
Just want to make sure. Amanda, I'm sorry we didn't get to your 9:30 segment. Please save that up. I apologize for that. Tomorrow, Thursday, David Schaefer will be on our phone, on our show, along with many others. We're lining up guests immediately after the show ends. See who else we have on there. We have not gotten a commitment back from Clay Tippins or Casey Cagle as far as the governor's race. Democrats everywhere, folks. Every district they're running. We didn't have time to talk about that. I'm your host, BKP. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Take us out of here, Amanda.